taking up a big area here. Okay. Yeah, fire, water, air is 4 fire, 3 air, 5 earth, 2 water. So there's a little bit of everything. There are 2 points in water. You know, I just looked, there's the Saturn and the midheaven. So there is some water. There's 3 air, so there's some air, 4 fire, 5 earth. So again, we still have this polarity of 5 earth and fire being the predominant factor. Masculine, feminine, 7-7, even. Projective, reactive, even. Okay. Like I said, we're not trying to decide, we're just tune in and get some idea of how this works. Just the preamble, the foreplay, getting ready for this. So there's no planets in Leo, nothing's ruled by the sun. The moon rules one planet, rules Saturn in Cancer. The moon's ruling one. So even though the moon is the focus point of her locomotive, its rulership only affects one factor, the Saturn. So, but Mercury is 5 points. Mercury affects the Virgo and the Gemini, Mars or Gemini, so it adds 5 points. So her mind and her thinking has the strongest effects. So when her mind is thinking is clear and good, it really affects her whole chart wonderfully. When it's not, since she's not thinking clearly, it's going to significantly affect and impair the judgment. Any impaired judgment or wrong thinking on her part is going to have an effect on 5 points in her chart. On the Sun, on the Venus, on the Mercury, and on the Mars. So when she's thinking clearly, she knows what she wants to do. No problem. When she's not thinking clearly, well, it's going to really affect how her choices and how she does things. Venus rules 2 points. It rules the, where are we here? Venus rules the Pluto and the Uranus in Libra. So it has a strong, Venus, it's 2. The values when she wants them, when she doesn't want them, it has a 2-point effect. Mars doing things, again, it's strong. So you have the mind, the Mercury, and we have the Mars. When she's doing things, she's strong, she's pushing, she's going to be assertive. She's going to be active with her Mars, and her Mars, depending on how she acts things, is going to have a strong effect on 4 points in her life. So the Mars in Gemini is going to affect, it's the Mars in Gemini, but the Mars is going to oversee the moon and the Jupiter and the midheaven of Scorpio. So when she's being physical, when she's being active, when she's making things happen, it affects 4 points in her chart. 1 point for understanding. Jupiter, Saturn rules 1 point, the ascendant. But Mercury is I want to think, I want to do, I want to communicate, I want to express myself. I know what I know things I know. Don't call me stupid. I know what I know. And what am I going to do with it, Mars? So we haven't got into each planet yet, but we're seeing the accentuation coming up from the different planets. That's what we want to do, just getting this texture. You don't have to remember it all. You don't have to define it all right away. You just want to run it and make some sense so it's connecting to you and you're getting to know the person a little bit more. Oh, that one. This one. Okay. So now we're going to look at the houses, but we want to be able to somewhat compare them. Okay, put the signs down here. Bring the houses up to here. Yeah, so this will allow us. So looking at the houses, we put the planets in a house. There's nothing in identity, nothing in first, second house. 3 points in the third house of expression. 0 in security, nothing in the fourth. 1 point in performance. 0 points in duty. 1 point in partnership. 4 points in trust. 8th house, 2 points in morality. 9th house, 0 points in honor. 10th house, 1 point in friendship. 0 points in conscience. So her strong points here are in trust and expression, personal expression and trust are too strong. In the signs, it was spread out. It was I analyze and I am. I analyze, I am. And in the house, it says I am. I analyze what I'm doing, what I need. I expect trust. Or trust is going to be valuable for who I am and what I'm doing and how I'm thinking. And the need to express it. So there's an attitude to express what's trustworthy. And to analyze it and do it. These two things, they're not exactly fighting each other, they're different, but they're okay. I get to rising and setting, 8 points setting, 4 points rising. So there's more of a tendency to react to others than to project. So now, when we looked at the signs, we had the 9 points darkness increasing, being involved, being responsive more than pushing for the independence. So we know it's a strong independent person, the Virgo Aries. But in the signs, there's a tendency to be sensitive, trying to belong more. And in the house, there's a tendency to react more to others, twice as much of a tendency to react to others than to instigate things. So there doesn't need to be responsive to others, to take impressions in from others. That's very insightful. It ties into the sun in the 8th house and the psychologist, or the understanding the depths of things and the social implications of things. And here above the horizon is 8 points and below is 4. Okay, so this is like in the signs, it was daylight is greater 9 to 5. Here 8 to 4 is a bigger distinction. Above the horizon, 8 points functional, having to do things in the world, to function, to relate, to have friends, to make commitments, to have business, to set things up, to function in the world, versus 4 points of living in my own lifestyle. My own lifestyle is not as important what I'm doing out there to take care of things. That's the 8 points above the horizon. Okay, we have the intuition, feeling, sensation, 3 points in the intuition, that's the moon and Jupiter. 1 point in the thinking quadrant, that's about status and influence. 7 points in the sensation quadrant, that's you responding to other people functionally. That's 8th, 9th, 8th, and 7th houses. 7 points in those relationship houses, that's powerful. 1 point in the feeling. So taking things in and taking things in and thinking about them, not the strong suit here, it's more the sensation and responding to people. So she's tactile, Earth, Virgo as a Capricorn, ascendant, Virgo, that's tactile, very physical, very tactile, alive, sensationally sensitive. And the intuition, the 3 points, is her moon, Jupiter, the impulsiveness in the 3rd house to express herself, to travel. You think that moon and Jupiter wants to travel, wants to go places. It's in the 3rd house, it's in Aries, it's impulsive. Let's get out of here, let's go places. You're going to see changes around it. Okay, so in the signs we had 5 points in the summer, and they were fairly evenly divided. But here, the 7 points in sensation is telling you something significant in her behavior pattern. You expect her story and her sense of importance comes about who she relates to and how she responded, whether they were trustworthy or not. And whether they can communicate or share ideas or not. And so she'd be a good listener. She takes things in, but not everybody is trustworthy and not necessarily that reliable. But we would look to her interactions with people to understand this 7 point sensation. Okay. Angular, succeeding, cadent. Here, only 1 point angular. 6 points succeeding, 5 point cadent. So when it comes to worldly affairs, she's first fixed, stubborn, consistent. I want to be stable. I want this to be stable. And then secondly, she's able to adapt to try and reinforce that stability. But that's different from her signs and her attitude. It's changing. I got to make something happen. So her attitudes are telling her, I got to go. I got to make something happen, and I'll adjust if I have to. But her attitudes are always trying to change things, always trying to fix something, always trying to do things. Not exactly fixed or stubborn or consistent. It's always changing. As soon as something's there, it's ready to can be improved. It can be fixed. It can be adjusted, and then there's something more to do. But it's hard to stay stable and fixed into one thing. She doesn't have that fixed quality. But in the houses, she does. In the world of the houses, the hours of the day, she has a strong focus on having some stability, some security, some fixity. And then against that background, she will adapt for whatever is necessary to do. But she's not going to be, when it comes to these circumstances, maintaining stability, she's not going to be that driving for. She's not going to try and feel she has to push it. She's going to try and be consistent. So she can try and be there relating to someone and try and hold on and be it and adjusting as things adjust, but she's not. Her setting chart is not going to be the instigator to push to fix things, to lead. Okay, when we look at the fire houses, yeah, the houses themselves, 3 points in self fire, 5 points in relationship air. So here again, in the houses, there's 3 air, there's 2 water. Here in the worldly circumstances, this is an interesting puzzle. There's no earth houses accentuated. So there's no planets in the 2nd, the 6th, or the 10th house. So the practical concerns are not there. They're not accentuated. Whereas in the signs, Earth was 5 points, so there was a practical attitude. But in the circumstances, there's a gap here. I don't know exactly what this means, but you've got to wonder about it. There's a gap between the practical attitude, the tactile attitude, but in circumstances, it's not the strongest point. It's circumstances, it's communication, it's relations, it's communicating, expressing oneself, and 4 points in rewards or water, 4 points around judgment. So mentally relating, communicating, relations, and what's valuable, what's not, what's trustworthy, what's not, the judgmental side of the water. So there's a strong water element when she's dealing with things. So it's 2 different frequencies between the houses and the signs, 2 different specifics. So you're going to have to, it'll take time to know or to observe which one is predominant. And in certain situations, one thing might be predominant at a certain level, another level, the other would predominate. It would depend how you're connecting. Really, quantity in houses, quality in signs. But both these energies are there, and they're not exactly in harmony with that. They're each working to be the ideal, to be practical, to be aligned, to do what's necessary, to adjust, and do whatever is necessary. The immutable and the cardinal, that's there. You know, but in the house, when it comes to her circumstances, so many situations come with that would demand her to be fixed and consistent, when she's really more adaptable in driving. So she wouldn't necessarily want to be stuck on a boring job. And when she would, she might feel it's caving in and hemming in. If it didn't allow her some diversity or some impulse, she'd be maybe quick to go. But I'm just playing with these associates, trying to imagine how these things would work. But the no Earth, when it comes to practical matters, Earth is not the strong point. Relationships are. So her job is not as important as her relationships. Her money is not important as relationships. And her reactions to others. That's fine. A lot of jobs can come from being able to be responding to others and knowing what other people's needs and being able to be in that response. The challenge then becomes in how reliable the others would be. You take a quick look at the chart, see the Neptune in the 11th house, squaring the Sun, opposing the Mars. You immediately see that, whoa, there might be problems in her responding to people that aren't exactly reliable. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Don't expect miracles. You just, the things that stand out are the things that stand out, and they'll stand out in the person. And when you're working the points and the signs in the houses, they can reinforce each other and click right in and be so consistently there. And here it's not quite that. There's mixed signals here. And you're going to expect these mixed signals, these different standards or these different frequencies going on in her life. Okay, now I'm going to take these off. I'm not going to get to the first part here. Okay. Okay, here we go. I want to go to the